All right, today we're diving into something called the Favoriot ecosystem plan. And it's all about one thing, taking the absolute chaos of managing tons of IoT accounts and turning it into something you can actually control.
So let's just paint a picture here. Imagine you're a university professor, or maybe a project manager. You've got, say, 100 people who all need IoT accounts. The catch? They only need them for a single semester, or maybe for just one project. How on earth do you manage that without completely losing your mind? Yeah, if that whole chaotic scene sounds even remotely familiar, you're going to want to stick around. Because trust me, there is a much better way to do this. Okay, so the problem really boils down to what we can call the chaos of many. Just think about it for a second. You've got dozens, maybe even hundreds of individual subscriptions just scattered everywhere, and each one has its own fixed expiration date. It is a total logistical nightmare for anyone who has to keep track of all that. So, the big question is, how do you go from that mess to having real control? Well, the answer is to introduce a managed ecosystem. This is a totally different way of thinking about how you manage big groups of users. And this is it, right here, the Favoriot ecosystem plan. Think of it like a master subscription. It gives one person, the manager, all the power to control a whole bunch of user accounts, and they can do it from a single dashboard. It's all about putting control in one central place. And this comparison just lays it all out, plain and simple. You know, the old way? Scattered accounts, rigid timelines, no real oversight, just a pain to scale. The new way? Everything's centralized. It's flexible. The manager can see everything that's going on, and it's actually built to grow with you. That's the huge shift in thinking we're talking about. All right, so let's break down the three big ideas that make this whole ecosystem tick: control, flexibility, and quotas. These are really the guts of the system, what makes it all work. First up, control. The way they do this is really smart. They use two separate portals. You've got the manager portal. That's for all the admin stuff like creating users and setting those expiry dates. Then you have the user platform. That's where the students or the developers actually get their hands dirty and do their IoT work. Keeping these two roles separate is absolutely key. And here's the really important part. Each ecosystem package comes with one and only one manager account. This is basically your command center, right? It's the single source of truth, the one spot for controlling that whole group so there's never any confusion about who's calling the shots. Okay, next up is flexibility, and this is a big one. We're talking about ditching those rigid one-year contracts. Instead, the ecosystem lets you set completely custom date ranges. Need it for a week? A few months? A couple of years? No problem. You get to decide the exact start and end dates based on what you actually need. Let's make this super practical. Imagine you're teaching a class, and the semester ends on May 15th. After that, your students don't need their IoT accounts anymore. And with this system, your IoT subscriptions can end then too. How cool is that? You just set every single student's account to expire on that exact date. No wasted money, no need to go in and manually shut things down. It's just clean, simple. And finally, let's talk quotas. Now, don't think of this as some rigid, restrictive bundle. It's much more like a pool of accounts. If your plan is for 20 accounts, you have a quota of 20 that you can hand out however you want. The manager has total control over who gets an account within that limit. Okay, so you're the manager, you've got all this control, all this flexibility, but how do you actually get your people onto the platform? Let's walk through how you add new users. It's actually pretty fast and simple. So the first way is just good old manual creation. This is perfect if you're just adding one or two people. You just pop open a form, type in their name, email, user ID, pick an expiration date for them, and bam, click create, and their account is live. Super easy for those one-off additions. But what about that whole class of 100 students? Are you going to do that one by one? No way. This is where the bulk upload feature is a total game changer. All you do is put everyone's info into a simple CSV or Excel file, upload that one single file, and this system just creates hundreds of accounts all at once. For big groups like student cohorts or big teams, this is just unbelievably efficient. Okay, so we've talked about the features, but let's see how this stuff actually plays out in the real world. What kinds of problems does this system solve for actual organizations? Take universities, for example. Their big challenge is dealing with semester-long projects in huge classes. The ecosystem solution? Bulk upload for the whole cohort and setting an expiration date that matches the end of the semester. Perfect. Or think about corporate training. They often need access for a super short time, right? The ability to spin up 1 week or 1 month subscriptions with central oversight is a lifesaver. And for system integrators who are juggling tons of different clients, they can create a totally separate, walled-off ecosystem for each one. It keeps everything neat, tidy, and secure. So, as we start to pull this all together, the big idea, the main theme, is a move towards full control. It's about giving organizations the power to manage their IoT users in a way that actually makes sense for how they operate. So let's just quickly recap a core strengths here. You've got that incredible date range flexibility. You've got the simple one manager system for governance. You've got the power to add users in bulk. And you have one central place to manage when everyone's account expires. It all comes together to give you complete administrative control. And you know, this quote really just nails it. It says this whole thing shifts from a simple individual account subscription model to a managed IoT environment model. And that's exactly right. This isn't just about buying accounts anymore. It's about creating a managed environment where the organization is the one in the driver's seat. So I'll leave you with this one question to mull over. Right now, are you managing your accounts, or are your accounts managing you? If you're stuck in that administrative chaos, just know that a plan like this shows there's a much, much better way.